206 dealerships, 19,000 employees. You have a better read on who is buying what in this industry right now. Has the auto industry in the U.S. recovered, and what are buyers demanding?
Well, it was a recovery year in 2010. Volume for us increased about 15%. All of that was simply the normalization of credit. Credit was dramatically restricted in end of 08 and into 09. We had the traffic, we just didn't have the credit. Our pickup truck sales are booming, our sport utility vehicle sales are booming. We still sell some hybrids, but not as many as the year before.
Sure, because gas prices are down. Looking at the lending environment, I mean, Mike, where is it right now? I mean, has credit loosened up to the stage where it needs to be?
I don't like the word loosen because that sounds somewhat irresponsible. I use the word normalization.
It was irresponsible at one point in time.
Not for automotive. We never lost our underwriting standards. The default rate never went above 1% in automotive. But for prime and near prime, it's normalized. For subprime and leasing, it's still dramatically restricted. In subprime, we used to have an approval rate of 50%. It's still today at 10%.
What about the dealership closings that came along with the bankruptcy and the restructuring of GM and Chrysler? Did that really, Mike, help the dealers that made it through? Did it really make the difference it needed to make?
In principle, I think the idea was right. I think the execution was not what it should have been, and a tremendous amount of pain and suffering was caused without really achieving a comprehensive target of consolidating these networks to what they need to be.
Right.
But other than the dealer restructuring, I think the Auto Task Force and the bankruptcies really did a fantastic job of taking care of all the sacred cows and look at the profitability of this business today at every level,
Yeah.
supplier, manufacturer, retailer, at sales levels which are still depression levels.
But the profitability is not on small vehicles and it's not on electrics, and yet that's the focus here clearly in Detroit. The profit margins are the biggest on the trucks and the SUVs. So how did the two come together?
A couple things though of progress. You can now manufacture small cars in the U.S. and be profitable rather than a big loser. Now the launch of electric vehicles, that's a political mandate from the government. Both from a regulatory point of view and from a capital allocation point of view. You know, the tax credit is $7,500 per vehicle. Well, I can tell you, Poppy, without that government support, electric vehicles would not be happening. The costs are simply way too high. But they're going to get them launched into the marketplace. And if the industry can find economies of scale or any other technical breakthrough around batteries and get the cost down, maybe you'll be able to sell them without subsidies.
Well, you have called for a gas tax a number of times so that we know what prices will be, and a gas tax would push the demand for electrics up higher.
Well, I'm in favor of a gas tax in that you disadvantage gasoline and you underwrite or support all the alternatives to the internal combustion engine. Whether that be anything from different types of hybrids or hydrogen, whatever you want. And let the marketplace decide what's the most effective solution because customers are demanding it. Make it a customer demand situation. But that's not the approach that's being taken. And instead, they're going to push this technology into the marketplace. And we'll see in 5 or 10 years how far along it gets.
Looking at the landscape, it is no longer the big three. It's been dubbed the Gang of Seven, right? You have 4 major foreign automakers, 3 major U.S. automakers, and others on top of that vying for buyers' attention. What are customers demanding on the lots at your dealerships right now? Do they care about the government motors title? Do they care that GM and Chrysler are still in the hole to taxpayers?
I think the most significant thing that I've seen over the past year is that we had an historic decade-long shift of share from the domestics to the Japanese. And last year, not only did that stop, but it reversed with 200 basis points of shares going back to the domestics. So
partly because of what happened with Toyota.
It's a combination of what happened with Toyota, but the domestics are also there with world-class quality and great products.